And now it's time to say hello to all my Geeko friends. You can fuss and muss if you must, but it's Artisan once again. What's going on, people? It is me, Artisan MC, with the slowest live stream on the planet right now because I cannot drive fast where I am. So, that one. Like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined and not part of the conversation. So, what to do? We had a protest today outside at my work. And I thought it was funny when I found out yesterday that there was going to be a protest. Because my question was, why didn't they do that fucking protest on Sunday when it was storming and shit? And I think somebody got offended. Imagine that, right? Because I called it bullshit. I was like, it's a bullshit protest. Way out of the way, near nobody. On the one hump day, the first Wednesday of the year, like fuck, or the month. It's not even a real protest. Bunch of old people sitting outside. Not for protest. There was a time that I thought they were very important and actually made a statement to people witnessing. But in California, protest is a little different than a sideshow. It's a little different than that. All it is about stopping folks from doing whatever the hell else they're trying to do, so you can have some attention for 5 minutes. So these people are protesting over this Palestine Israel shit. Like, why don't you take your monkey ass down to a government office or something, or show up in Washington? Because these people here ain't got shit to do with it, and can't affect no change. Can't affect a change that you would want to happen at all. Pointless fucking protests. Inconveniencing other people that also ain't got shit to do with what's going on. So I am in some ways feeling a little dejected by having to deal with this silliness. Listen to other people silly reacting to it like, oh my God, it's a protest, it's a protest. Ain't no fucking protest. It's 20 people with signs, dude. That's not a protest. It's like people on your overpass of the freeway holding up a sign wanting you to honk for something. Go by too fast, you ain't paying attention to that shit. So Dumb, dumb, dumb. So I am at work in the van about to watch this sunrise. Get to a nice spot for the sunrise. Because since it's been raining, oh, I just missed a nice spot. Since it has been raining, rain clouds are out. It's very thick, and the sun is coming up. It's just like bright lavender, golden shit, and I do like taking pictures. See it as one of the creator's greatest gifts is letting me have vision and a camera, so I can actually witness some of these things. Like I've told women before, I'm seeing for Stevie Wonder. He got a gang of kids. He got to take their word for it. The kids look like him. You know, his kids. I don't know if those his kids. How he know? Can't even see the motherfuckers. Fucking tree in the way. Darn that damn tree in the way. Of course. But of course, it stays in the way. Let's see. See if I can give y'all a little bit of something. Show you my morning. Since I had to spend the night at work last night, since I was on call, there is really no CArtisan because I'm already here. That's what I'm looking at. You can see the turquoises and that lower illumination. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool, kind of cool, kind of cool. So, I had an interesting conversation yesterday with I probably shouldn't even mention this shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck, but I probably shouldn't. The shit keeps happening. But I had an interesting conversation with ex wifey yesterday, and where she had contacted me on Sunday and told me about this person dying, and I couldn't think who that person actually was. I didn't remember who that person actually was, and I looked them up on Google and was like, "Oh, it was a singer? Why the fuck is she mentioning this damn singer to me? I don't give a shit about that damn." But it was so busy Sunday, I didn't get back to her until yesterday. And when I talked to her, fucking people gonna have 50 conversations about driving through a fucking gate. When I talked to her, it was interesting enough that she was telling me about it. And like we've been having going on for the last month or two, um, sharing dreams and analyzing dreams, right? So she had a dream. She saw this person at a bar, and the person just looked at her, waved to her, didn't come over and say anything to her, just waved to her from a distance, and she woke up. And she thought it was, kind of weird. It is a little bit weird. Oh, the sun is finally coming up. And she's telling me about it, and I'm analyzing the dream, and I told her what I was thinking because for what she understood, she's had the dream, and then she woke up. And when she woke up, she Googled the person and found out that in fact the person had died back in October of last year. She found the obituary right off, and she was kind of taken aback by that. And I was like, oh well, it is what the fuck it is, right? But and talking to me, yeah, Aria, it is. I mean, you listen to this part. Now, I wasn't remembering who this person actually was. And she said something that struck me funny is like, I told her, I said, I wasn't really sure who this was. I was thinking this was this other general manager from this place he used to work or something like that. I'm thinking that was him. She's like, no, that was a different person. This person is the one that had a significant traumatic moment on your life. And I'm like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Turns out this person, it turns out this person was the guy that she had an affair with the first time. I think, yes, I did say the first time. And I'm like, oh, him? I was like, oh, that's right. That was his name, right? And so I wasn't taken aback by it. I was just amazed and kind of humorous at the fact that I forgot his fucking name. Now, mind you, this is about 17 years ago. Okay. We were married for about 7 years. About 7 years. So it's a 7 year ish thing, right? It was about 17 years ago. I hadn't uttered that motherfucker's name in I don't know how long, right? But I remember catching them or catching her on the phone at our home, um, having this internet conversation with her about what was what and what he wanted to do and all the rest of this shit. And I picked her little ass up and put her out on the porch, right? So I had actually met this dude before because they had worked together. Guy had actually been in my home working on my computer. Now, her telling me who the guy was like, well, okay. How'd you feel about that? It didn't bother me really. It didn't bother me at all. I wasn't elated. I wasn't like, yeah, it's good to motherfucker. It wasn't none of that shit for me. It's just like, oh, okay. I was more thinking that she might have had an issue with the shit than me because she had to mention it because of her situation right now and who she's with and stuff, right? Who she's married to now. Wow. I didn't give a shit, right? And she's like, "Oh, good. I'm glad you didn't remember his name because it was so traumatic." I was like, I don't think him himself was traumatic. He was a fugly looking dude. It's like, bitch, you would do that with that motherfucker? Ugh, you ain't got no damn standards. You definitely went down. You definitely shot downward. So I didn't give a shit about him necessarily. I cared about the relationship, the marriage at the time, but I didn't give a shit about him really. It's just an object or something that you could, beat up on if you wanted to, right? Because you're not gonna start smacking around a woman, or at least I wasn't gonna start smacking around a woman. My concern was what she fucking did, not what the fuck he was the benefit of, right? Not from what he benefited from. So it was a weird thing. After I talked to her, we went over that shit and told her about. She was happy that I had moved on from it. I was like, that was forever ago. That shit don't even matter. Especially since that wasn't what ended up. It was a breaking, but it wasn't the final breaking that broke the marriage. It wasn't the final thing. It wasn't the most egregious. It was egregious, but it wasn't the most egregious thing that happened. What happens in relationships? Some people behave badly. She wasn't the only one who behaved badly. So what the fuck could I do? What the fuck could I really, get all um torn up about, right? So I thought it was interesting that I didn't remember this dude's name and I didn't care anything about it. Now, what shocked me was she said she didn't have any feelings about it. And I'm like, I don't see how that's possible. Really don't see how that's possible. Especially in the sense that this is something that jeopardized your marriage over. I mean, sure enough, it's so many years later. You know, it's over damn near 2 decades later, but it was a catalyst for what led to the eventual demise of the relationship and put her in the position to where she is now, which is, you know, yeah, I wonder if I want to say that. Yeah, she married the guy she fooled around with the second time. So I thought it was interesting because analyzing that dream to me meant some other shit. After figuring out who the hell the guy was, it made sense why his spirit, in a sense, was coming to her in her dream to just wave. He was gone. To me, that means she meant something significant to him, or there was some unfinished business there. Now, I don't believe a lot of what women say. I listen to what women say, but I don't believe a lot of it. And that causes problems for some of them because they want you to believe verbatim, like a willing disciple, that whatever they said was absolute truth. Bullshit. I don't buy that shit at all. Anything they said was probably a fucking lie. Most of it was a deflection. Some of it is delusional. Some of it is a lie. There is some truth in there, but the truth only comes out with them when they fucking hate your guts. When they hate your guts, then they'll tell you some truth. And even then, there's still some lies mixed in with that too, because they just want to hurt you. That's the only way they know how, right? They can't actually kick your ass. That's the only way they know how to hurt you, by what they say. Like, I love you. Nothing else ever mattered. That is your child. Shit like that. Shit like that. Shit that really, really hurts. It was the biggest I've ever seen. Right. So women lie. That's just what it is. Women lie, kids lie, men lie too, but there's different reasons for all that shit. So I didn't believe the fact that she had no feelings on that shit. And I just figured, like, maybe she didn't want to share that shit with me. Right. And that comes in to a point later, right? So I finished talking to her and I'm sitting here thinking about this shit. Damn, can y'all just come to work? Fuck. Fucking texting like fucking Gen Zs. 15 one-word sentences. God damn. So I finished talking to her and I'm sitting there thinking about this shit a little bit and actually just analyzing myself that I didn't have any feelings about the shit whatsoever. I wasn't praising that dude's death or anything like that. It felt kind of sad in a sense, like, yeah, damn, he lost his life because he was, if not our age, younger. He was a little bit younger, and he died suddenly. And I'm like, I didn't want to say it out loud what my anima was telling me, right? But I know at certain points what I wanted to do, and some thoughts that I had. Oh my fucking god! So I didn't really worry about it, right? But I was still pondering it a little bit. So I talked to one of my ex girlfriends who actually knew this whole situation and shit, right? Talked to two of them, and one of them I can trust because we have a decent, you know, spiritual in a sense relationship that we can talk about shit like this, right? She knows what that shit was back in the day. So she was around after that fact. She had heard the story. She knew what this shit was about, right? And then the other one was the most recent one. She knew about the situation as well. And so I had asked both of them separately about, hey, this is what I just found out. This happened. What do you think? What do you think about that? Not basically I went to two polls and tested two polls of female reactions and responses to see what they thought about that shit. Now the first one actually took the route of saying that the woman was lying and that you don't know how many times she messed with this guy. She took the more accusatory route, which is funny because this is the ex that has less accountability. She does not want to be accountable for anything, but she holds people accountable for everything. And she was willing to try to feed in extra shit, like, oh, you don't know how many times they messed around and all the rest of this shit. And it's like, that was like 17 fucking years ago. And right, so she's on the train that there's probably more that she's saying that she's not saying. And do you know? And did you question her to get all the information out of her? And I told her flat out that I've accepted the fact in life that you will never know a woman's mind 100% because a lot of it is based on what she tells you. And the main thing that women do is covet, and hide things like a cat in a litter box. You can dig all you want to, but you might not find that wet spot or that lump of Tootsie Roll goodness, that almond roca, so to speak. You may not find it. I was with that woman for more than 15, 16 years. There's still shit about her from her past before we got back together again that I do not know. And she is not going to tell me. So I told that ex, that's just how it is with women. That's just what it is with women. And I made the point of directing it towards her a little bit too, in the fact that I don't know everything about her ass either. And she ain't forthcoming with a lot of it. And that's just what the fuck it is. Just what it is. Now that ex ex girl didn't like that shit because she don't like accountability. So as you can imagine, the conversation died off after that. Because she wants me to hold the ex-wifey more accountable for her thoughts and press her on what she really thought. Oh my fucking goodness! If I wasn't still on call, I would turn this bitch off. But she is the main one who doesn't want to be held accountable for anything that she's done. She can't even admit to it. She just can't. It would be a whole fucking schism about getting her to be accountable for shit that she's actually done in the moment, not in the past, in the moment, dude. Be a whole fucking argument. Arya said, I wonder why she expected you to still care. If she didn't have any feelings, then why is this name coming out of her mouth to you? That's a good question, Arya. One I did not ask her. I mean, when I got the text message, I was in the middle of dealing with storms and flooding and trees and power outages and all that shit. But I did ask that question about why the fuck is she sharing this shit? Who the fuck is this person? Why is she telling me this shit? Right? Didn't know. Right? Now I chumped it up to we have been having these conversations because I've told you guys about this. Ex-wifey's showing up in my fucking dreams over the last couple months. She's been showing up in my fucking dreams and she never did. Apparently she had dreams I was showing up in her fucking dreams. Never really did. So it's weird because I know how trouble ex-wifey sleep can be. I know how trouble her sleep can be. And I think I've told you guys that before. If you guy or girl, you sleeping next to your lady and she has really fitful dreams all the time, that's about the amount of shit that she's hiding and stuffing, trying to stuff down in her mind, coming back to the surface while she's sleeping. Especially if she ever mentions seeing a dark figure standing by your bed. If she tells you about having a dream and waking up at night and seeing a dark figure by the bed, she's holding a lot of secrets and skeletons that she is not dealing with. That's what that shit means. There's a lot of shit there, right? Ex-wifey had that kind of shit happening, and there was a lot of shit there. There is still more shit there, I'm sure. So having a conversation with her about this dream situation was not, to me, in our situation right now, it's not out of the ordinary for something like that to happen out of the blue. It's not. And especially for the fact that I didn't even remember who the fuck the person was anyway. So that was kind of funny. Like she had to remind me who the fuck he was. I was like, oh damn, that probably made you feel some kind of way. So the next person I actually got some feedback on this from, because I'm still tripping off the fact that I don't have a reaction to this shit. And really having the idea that I'm not cheering or anything like that. I thought that was weird. I thought it was weird. I just put out feelers just to check. I know I'm fine. My reaction is what my reaction was, which is I didn't give a shit, which is probably the normal reaction. But I still thought that there should have been, for how touchy that situation was, there probably should have been a little bit more, some kind of reaction. And that's not what I had. I didn't even think about the fact that what did she expect me to say in telling me? Maybe she expected me to lose my shit. I don't know. So next person I talked to was kind of my sage. Like I said, kind of me and her are really spiritual, right? She's an artist. She paints beautiful fucking pictures. I have a couple of them that I'm hanging in my place. I always end up finding these artsy painter type chicks, right? I always do. There's only a few women that I've been with that aren't artistic in any kind of fucking way, which is weird. What up, Two Triv? So, and Arya in here. This might have been a better freak speak, Arya. We could have debated this shit about the darkness of women's souls. Where does some of this stuff hide? But the other friend I talked to, I gave her the brief rundown on it, and she has some more poignant things to say in the sense that she said, well, she's lying. That there is no way you can. Well, she said it for her in her perspective because that's how women do it. They put themselves in the shoes, right? She said, I could not share myself with someone when I am with someone else and not, what did she say, mingle our essences together and not actually have a feeling if I heard that they passed. And she was the one who said they obviously have some unfinished business because his spirit showed up in her dream. And I told her that's exactly what I fucking told her before I even knew who the hell it was. Now, I didn't get to finish that conversation because I had to come in and do on call. But her opinion was more in the sense of making sense out of the things that actually happen and the things that actually show up in the um, dreaming, as opposed to recriminations about more things and all the rest of the shit, which is an interesting perspective because I ain't with either one of these ex-girlfriends. But it lets you know what things are irritating and what things actually work. Right. So my thought on it is this, that which I didn't share with any of them, is that because of how my marriage with my ex ended, she ended up in a situation where she ended up marrying the person that she was having her second affair with. The fact that she had a dream where she saw the first person she had an affair with in her dream was interesting, especially since he just waved to her. The fact that he just waved to her did mean that he was gone or was goodbye or whatever the fuck, right? True enough. But I took it initially, just hearing about it, as it was a hello, fellow traveler. That hello, you're here again? How you doing? That's what I thought. Because to answer Arya's questions, why did she tell me thinking I would care? She can't. She probably ain't told her new husband about that shit. That's why she can't tell the dude that she cheated with on her husband about the previous dude she cheated on her husband with, and him dying. He probably don't want to hear that shit. That motherfucker don't even really want her talking to me. I don't know what the fuck he worried about. He got her. Show problem now, nigga. What do you expect me to do? She offered me something, I'd fuck her down just so you could feel some kind of way about it. What, you gonna be mad, nigga? What the fuck? It'd be just desserts. It'd be just desserts. You deserve it. It's gotta be coming. It's gotta be. Because the time is about right. So that's why I thought it happened. Because in life she could be at the same point again. And that's why that spirit showed up to her, waving to her, saying hello, not saying goodbye. Because I don't think she'd been dreaming about this motherfucker since then or before then. Maybe she has, maybe she hadn't. But I know certain things have been happening lately with her approaching 50 right now, and that you have to be thinking about some of your missteps. What I told her in the conversation we had is that shit, life happens. We are imperfect people. You try to do the best that you can, but things don't work. And I know I was over the initial affair when I could joke about it. The minute I could joke about it, I knew I was over it because that's how I am. If I can make light of it, it doesn't bother me anymore. Yeah, it's something that happened, but I've gotten further enough away from it that it's not even funny anymore. It's like being in a car and you end up swerving and almost in a head-on collision, right? You swerve out the way. Some people will freak out. Some people will laugh. And why do you laugh? Because you survived that shit. It wasn't the end. You almost got fucked up. Like, oh shit, did you see that shit? Nigga, I almost died. You're further enough away from the actual incident that it has no effect on you anymore. That's how I took it. That it doesn't have that kind of effect on me anymore because I ain't married to her, she ain't married to me, and I had to actually do the math to figure out that it was 17 goddamn years ago. So who the fuck cares? The dude passed. Well, that's tragic. He died suddenly. Fuck, that sucks. But certain things that I'm not gonna say now never crossed my lips. I can tell you this: I didn't say it to her or either one of the exes, but I know from seeing in life that people who have done me really grimy always get some like fucked up shit happening to them. And I've tracked that over time because I know people who have done really grimy shit to me. And I've seen really fucked up things happen to them. It may not be immediate, but it does happen. One of which, and that goes professionally or personally. It always does. So I wasn't relishing motherfuckers' death in any way just because of some shit that happened between him and my wife. Look, there's a dude out there I know right now who could be thinking the same shit about me if he ever knew. He'd be thinking the same shit about me. So what's that line? He without sin cast the first stone. I ain't the one to be, dancing on nobody's party. I did some fucked up shit too. I just don't think that would be right for me. So, damn, that's too bad. So how you been? That's all it is. Ah, that's too bad. Wow, that's who he was. Interesting. How you dealing with that shit? No, no reaction. Yeah. It is what it is, then. Just the fuck it is. Dude. So I thought it was interesting enough to think about the thought process that had to be going through her head and why she didn't have a reaction to it. And in my mind, she just didn't want to tell me her real reaction to it because I do believe she was actually sad. I do. I know all the shit. Well, I know all the shit that I found out that had happened. I was too passionate. I've done shit like that. You don't forget people like that. But I'm also not a woman. And I'm also not one who runs from my thoughts, my feelings, and my missteps and tries to hide them all. They fucking happen. The hell you gonna do? I just don't. It is what the hell it is. I'm not running out there blurting out all my shit to everybody, even on my YouTube channel. It may seem like it, but it happened, and life moved on. The world didn't stop because, in the grand scheme of things, the only person that actually gives a fuck is you. Most other people don't give a fuck. It's interesting for the moment, so they can reframe how they think about you. But actual care, no, they don't. Don't. This makes for an interesting conversation sometimes. So her assertion that she had no feelings about it was really like, nah, you had to. You had to have some kind of feelings, but you don't want to tell me. That's fine. You don't have to. My accusatory ex, we had a conversation a couple of days ago about what was going on with her. She didn't want to admit to why she was up at 1 o'clock in the morning on Instagram. She didn't want to admit that shit. But we did end up having a conversation about her son. Because the other shit she didn't want to tell me, which means it was about a dude. You don't have to tell me. I know you. There's only two things that keep a woman up at night if she ain't fucking. Worried about bills and money, or worried about a man. Otherwise, they'll go to fuck to sleep. So it ain't hard to figure out. It's just hard for them to admit. They don't want you to feel like you know them better than they know themselves. Even though, if you ever listen to Dr. CArtisan, he tells you about emotional labor and shit like that. You kind of do. Kind of. I say 95%. You might not know the other five, but 95 is pretty high. Even if you dropped it by five, it's pretty high. Because you have to pay attention. So, with that, I'm gonna go on in here and see what these folks and these protesters are doing with us. Thank y'all for listening to this bullshit. It may not be as interesting as celebrity news, but I let celebrities have their lives too, because I have my own. Appreciate you, Arya. Yeah, Arya. Me, you, and Toya got to do those freak speaks. We can have some interesting conversations on there. I think Toya would have to actually come up with the questions. I don't do a good job of actually making a question for a stream. I don't. It's weird. It's weird that way. Every time I approach a stream, it's like giving a fucking dissertation. Like giving a dissertation or doing a TED talk. It's not like, yeah, I have a question and you guys all respond to it. It's just not my strong suit. That's what it is. Anyway, let me get in here and play with these kids. They're adults. They're not actual kids. Minds out the gutter. But they have childlike intellect sometimes. So I'm gonna go in here and deal with this shit. For the day, thank y'all for coming through. I've been Artisan MC, and I will see you next time. Peace.